Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. We're having some fun and experimenting with panels this year, trying to use up what we have. This is just one I have. I happen to get quite a few of them really cheap, so I thought this is a great way to experiment and have some fun. So I have 3 panels here, all the same, stacked one on top of the other. Kind of very similar to what we did as a pumpkin thing, and we're chenilling it, okay? So it's the panel piece right behind me here. It is with some bunnies, and it says telling the time, big hand, little hand, the old clock, 5 minutes past, 10 past, and so on and so forth. Very cute on the whole telling of the time thing with the clocks and everything. So what better way than to make it more tactile and fun with some chenilling, okay? So I have 3 panels here, like I said, and then I have 2 layers of this like white broadcloth that I have here at the shop, and I've used it for many things, linings to bags and so on and so forth. So you don't quilt this, it's just done in many layers. So it would make a nice floor quilt for a baby too, just to have some, you know, fun and little cushioniness to it. So I have 3 panels here, but I've seen it done all the way up to 6 panels done, and then they're not cutting the last one. That's why I put 2 layers of the white, because I'm cutting all through all 3 of the panels and then leaving the white as the backing underneath, okay? So what I did to get myself started is first I ironed. I kid you not, I really did. I ironed all 3 of them nice and flat, and then I took my nice big square ruler that I have here, and then I stuck it up in the corner just like that. And then, well, actually it was just like this, because I wanted to utilize this line here to get me started and work my way from that. Now you can do this in straight lines, you could do it diagonal, horizontal, vertical, whichever way you want to do it. I'm kind of doing a mix of both, but you can do whatever. You can even like cross hatch it. You could have some fun with this and really make it very, very fun and enjoyable. So what it is, I took the little mark here that I have from this part where the ruler comes up and give myself a nice, fantastic straight line. So I did a little line there, and then did a little line up there, and then I took this ruler and I drew a line in pencil, and the pencils were going to be my stitch lines, so I was going to stitch down those lines. Now I did these an inch apart. I just used my ruler, scooted up an inch, marked a line, scooted my ruler up an inch, marked a line, and so on and so forth. But I think you could probably go all the way down to probably 3/4 of an inch, and I think that would be really nice to have them close together too. I probably wouldn't go too much bigger than an inch though, so I'm thinking I probably should have went a little smaller, but hey, you know, practice and live and learn. So I did that in the one corner, and then the same with the other corner. I went all the way up over into here and did the same thing, as lined myself up, put my lines there. And then when I got to about somewhere in the middle-ish where I decided I was going to go the other direction. So I started marking from one corner coming up, and then just marking wherever I wanted. So I have sewn a lot already, so we're just going to sew a couple more. And I did pin it once. I had it pinned in many, many places. You can see where it's pinned here where I haven't sewn yet. And then, like, they're just rough lines. It's not exact. It's okay, you know. We're not building the piano. We're having some fun. Fun with fabric, okay? So we're going to take this underneath the machine, and we're just going to sew down a couple of these lines, and then we'll do some trimming up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Hopefully you've had a good week so far. There. Okay. And then take your pins out. You go. Don't try and sew over your pins. Okay. And be gentle. Just getting it all through. Try not to get poked too many times by your pins. You could use safety pins as well. Okay. I find definitely the walking foot for this, as it helps move all the layers of fabric, because right now we have 5 layers of fabric trying to go underneath this machine, okay? So we want to make sure we're giving the machine the less struggle as possible, okay? And once we get to one of our other sewing lines that are in the other direction, okay, see my little layers right there, 1, 2, and 3, and then I've got my white as my back. So, and then you just want to make sure you're stopping at that line. You don't want to come too further, okay? So all the way out to the other side here. That was clearly not an inch, but we're gonna eyeball her. Eyeball her the best we can. Okay, it's not an exact science, right? And you could use some maybe minky on the back or something like that. Just be careful when you're cutting. You don't want to cut all the way through to the backing. Okay. There's a couple of tips and tricks like that. It's just using your seam ripper at first. It's nice when you come along the sides of the panels here because you can use these channels that we've already created to come in with your scissors and snip down there. That's what I was doing. But when it comes to the center section here where you're having to go into the fabric first and then cut along, yeah, with just one layer at a time. You be very gentle. And this is, you find a panel that you on sale after a certain season or whatever, or it just happens to be really cheap and you really like it and just not sure what to do with it. This is a great way to give it some really kind of depth and texture. Lines with it, so I was just eyeballing this last one here. We'll get to cut. It's a beautiful day here on the East Coast. East Coast, Nova Scotia. Okay, now that's my scissors. Nice sharp pair of scissors. Okay, to the table. Like I said, and I was using the channels that I was. We're gonna need that. Okay, we're gonna use your seam ripper. The channels that were created by placing the panels on the backing, we've got a little spot that we know we're going to come in and we're not going to cut our backing at all, right? Our background fabric. So we just come in here and it's nice. It's the 1 inch is very comfortable for the scissors to slide nicely down into. You could just start it and even just push if you like that, depending if your scissors are super sharp. You don't have to use the cut motion. Okay. But I think anything, like I said, 3/4 I think would look good, but maybe not a 1/2 inch. I think you'd have a hard time trying to get your scissors in there unless you used a small pair, or even just a really sharp seam ripper and did the same thing that way, right? So. And then make sure you're giving yourself a little leverage too by giving it the pull in the opposite direction, right? For when you're getting to the other part to finish it off. There we go. See? Okay. Super easy. And something fun to do with a panel, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a repeated panel. This could be, stacks of colored fabric on top of another, or multiples. We've got a stack of purple to red, and then another stack of red to purple, and then just the color variations in between. Make some fun. Make some fun fabric. Just think of the fun textured pillow, pillow for the couch, or the camper, right? Okay, so now once you have that done, I'll show you how to do the ones that you got to dig into the fabric. Okay. So I got a couple ones here, and then you just want to make sure you are just going through only the 3 layers. Okay. So again, it was just come all the way down and snip right at the end. But to find it, you want to take your seam ripper, and you want to just kind of poke up 1 layer and just kind of rip it a little bit. Okay, so you know you're all right, and then you poke up another layer and you rip it a little bit. Okay, but make sure that you only have 2 layers at that point and not 3, right? And then you're like, okay, there's still gray color underneath there. Okay, so now it's the last one. It's just a little, you got to be careful not to gouge into the white or the background fabric underneath, and we're good. We're good. So if you have to have a super duper sharp seam ripper, that's great. You can just keep going on down. Mine's not as sharp as it once was, so I prefer to use my scissors. And then just to make sure you're not going to cut through any threads on the other side, if you are using a seam ripper, put one of your pins across where you don't want to go ripping through. Okay, so definitely a good tip on that one. And just slide it on. I think it's a cool idea. Okay, I've got 1, 2, oh no, 3. See, you can see how you got the white down in there. Perfect. All the way to the other. Okay. And that is how chenille. And doing it diagonal or horizontal or vertical or mixing it up is going to add such a different texture to your quilt top, right? So, and like I said, you could do a little bit on a smaller scale, do a little bit more on a larger scale. Let's just try to be really careful. Okay, so I went down. It's easy to go through 2 the second time around, so always double check. So I got my 1, 2, 3 layers right there. Okay. So I don't want to go any more than that. And I think that's another reason why I put 2 layers of white in the back, just in case. Just in case. Now, I'm not saying you can't turn this into another project. Like from here, you could put nice minky backing on it and then bind the edge, or you could put something face down and sew it all the way around and then turn it all the way out and then sew the side up or something. There's many options to go with it. Like I said, you can turn it into a pillow. If you had a little art project, maybe you can decide of a bag, you know, wall hanging. Let the options be yours. Okay, so now since this is white fabric, I gotta be really careful. 1, 2, and 3, and I'm just trying to take just the first layer, just the 1 layer of fabric with that seam ripper. And it's a little bit of a process. You could give yourself all the little holes first, and then come back and then slice it with your scissors. You know, so it's you try to utilize your time. Okay, I went through 2 that time. All right, careful. There we go. And then just keep on trucking. There we go. And that is another one of the many ways we are going to be dealing with panels this year. So this isn't putting a border on it, but we're definitely dealing with it in a different way. I have lots of these. Like I probably have about 40 more of these panels. Maybe not so many, but there's a lot. There's maybe 30, at least 30. So, yeah. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to catch us out on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we have Cross Stitch Tuesday or Stitch Tuesday or Chat Tuesday. Come hang out with us Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So, have enjoy. Take care. Big hugs to you, and we'll see you soon.